Rock stars, welcome. So glad that you're here. Welcome to the Guitar Show. I know it's a little odd that we're doing this on Wednesdays, but just as the universe is all in flux, we are too. We're doing lots of new stuff here. And so today we're going live. Tomorrow we're going live on Wednesday and Thursday. But for a little while now, we're going to be going live on Mondays and Tuesdays. Cool? You'll see announcements from me regarding this, but just FYI, this week, Wednesday and Thursday, we want to make these back-to-back, guys, so that if I'm teaching you a lesson on one day and then the following lesson we're doing some more, we got that continuity and it's not several days that you're going to be getting lost, okay? So beautiful. So glad that we have our so many of our usual kind folks in here, and we're just so happy to be with you today. So, solid lesson today. We're going to be talking about bar chords. Today, as I always say, when we're talking about bar chords, there's two things that you really need to wrap your mind around. Number one is actually being able to play the chords. Separate from understanding how the chords work, how they work going up the neck, how to know that this is an A minor. Like, if you don't know that, that's a mental thing, and that's an asset over here that we will discuss. I find that it's very helpful if you separate those two things, because if you know how this works, but you don't know how to play a bar chord, it's not this big subject that you don't know. You already have half of it over here. Or let's say you know how to play a bar chord, but you don't know how the bar chords work. Cool. Two separate things. Now we just need to add the one to the other, and boom, now you have lots and lots of chords. So that's how I'm dividing the day today. Okay, so today, talking about how to physically play the chord. This is for anybody who's ever been like, yeah, bar chords, I hear you, I don't know how to play them. This is for you then, because I'm going to show you exactly how to find out where your Achilles heel is, the weakest link, right? The weakest link in the chain. That's how strong your chain is the weakest link. Because if you got 10 of them that are strong, you got one of them that's weak, that's where it's going to break. Everything's going to come tumbling down. So what we're going to do is, instead of just saying, the chain sucks, we're going to say that one link sucks, and we're going to strengthen it. And for you, it's going to have probably something to do with your first finger. And we're going to learn where specifically on that first finger you need to be applying more pressure, or how your hand needs to be, or whatever. Everybody's going to be different here, right? In regards to that. And if we can isolate that and we can say, okay, that's the thing, then you can focus on that thing, you can fix that thing, and now you're playing the F chord. And friends, if you can play the F chord, the F major chord, then what's going to happen is you are going to be able to play these other 120 chords-ish, okay? You down with that? All right, good. All right, now I'm not going to be even looking at comments for quite some time. I'm going to probably be teaching this for I don't know how long. It may take us a half hour. It may not take that long. Tomorrow, it will probably take a little longer. Cool? Okay. Let's get into it. I will not be looking at the chat right now, so you can chat away amongst yourselves, but I won't see it right now. Cool? All right, thank you. All right, and let me pause this guy here. Guy looks a lot like me. No, it's me. So, all right, let's cut that out and let's go. All right, now, we're talking about anything bar. Or really, if we're talking about anything on the guitar, what we can do here in the open position, we can do further up the neck. Cool? I'll say it again. Anything we do in the open position, we can do further up the neck. This statement won't make any sense to you unless you actually do it, unless you can comprehend the power of that. Because we're talking about, there's only 12 keys, right? And what this one concept allows you to do, if you truly understand it, is it allows you to do anything in any particular key, whether that's a riff, or a scale, or a chord. Doesn't matter. Whatever we can do here, we can move it up the neck, and there's lots of power to that, okay? Now, it doesn't mean that we might not have to adjust a little something here and there or compensate for a particular something, but for in regards to the shapes and the intervals, which are the distances between notes, it's all the same. So we're just moving up, okay? And this is the concept of bar chords. Because what that means is I could take this E minor bar chord, and I could literally, if I free up my first finger, normally my first finger would go here, right? And then I can, but it doesn't have to because I have the nut there, so I'm gonna go up a step or 1 fret, and then I have a next chord. And these are all minor chords because this was a minor chord. And I'm just going up, and each time that I do this, I have yet another chord, okay? But first, and we can do this with any of these chords, it doesn't matter. It could be the weirdest shape, it could be a G shape. I'm gonna do this shape right there. Technically, I could bring that up, the fretboard. Notice that right there. Do we have a zoom shot today, Mike? There we go. So look, here's a G chord. You might play it like this. I don't care what fingers you use. You could use your nose, your toes, I don't care. Neither does the rest of your band. They just want to hear a G chord. So I'm playing a G chord there. You can see that as you're used to it, right? You may not used to the hand looking like that, probably looks like that for you, but just trust me, it's the same chord. So if I'm freeing up this first finger here, and it would normally lay on the nut if I'm moving this up, so now we have a G sharp, and so forth, A, and I can just keep moving that guy up, and even though that's a very uncomfortable bar chord, it further drives the point home here, friends, that anything we do in the open position, we can do further up the neck, okay? So, but the ones that we're gonna be looking at this week are the ones, number one, that you're gonna be using all the time, and they're the ones that are the easiest. Yay, that's awesome, right? The easiest and both, okay? All right, now, here we go. And actually, I am looking at the chat, FYI. I'll be looking at the chat in case anybody does any donations. Otherwise, I won't be drilling down to comments for a little while here, okay? But if I see a donation there, I'll see it on the screen because I do want to address you if there is a donation, okay? Perfect. Okay, so now let's talk about this. What the problem with bar chords is, and I know this because of sitting down with thousands of students over the years. And you would see a student go to play a bar chord, and this is what they do. They go, I can play the E minor and the A air, but when I go to play that F, it just doesn't sound right. Awesome. Okay, let's talk about what you just did there, because there's already a problem here. It's like saying this. It's like saying, God, I went from $1,000 in my bank account to $2,000, and hell, no matter how hard I try, I can't get to $1 million. Okay, well, maybe set another little goal. How about get 10,000 in there first, or some sort of whatever. I don't care, bank account or whatever you want to call it. A jump shot, doesn't matter. I can do it from 5 feet. I can do it from 6 feet. But hell, when I do it from 50 feet, I can't do it, Eric. But you're doing it. Well, let's talk about the specifics, and let's get a little closer to the hoop so that we know specifically what our problem is. Is it our footing? Are we even getting close to the basket? Is it the way that we're holding our shoulder? Just what? That's important if we drill down and we say, now what's going on with this chord? And what I've found is there's a great method to do this, is instead of focusing on 6 chords right away, going from having $1,000 into your account to having $1 million and wondering why it's not just happening overnight, how about we set ourselves some smaller, very achievable goals that will give us that momentum that we're moving forward. This is what I do in everything in life, whether it's guitar or business or working out or food or nutrition, whatever. Everything I do like this. I break it down, slow it down. So instead of saying, okay, let's just get this chord right away, let's break it down to 2 notes at a time. Because if you break it down to 2 notes at a time, and then we go to 3 notes at a time, and then we go to 4 notes at a time, and then 5 notes, and then 6 notes, well, what we're doing is we're stacking weights on, if we're at the gym, we're stacking weights, and now we know where our true places and where it is that we need to grow. Okay, so let's do this. So here's an F chord. It's called the bar chord, right? Because I'm laying my finger down and it's going across all those strings. I'm not playing on my fingertips. These guys are, but this guy is not. So for you new players that are so used to playing on your fingertips because you've watched the free 30 and that sort of thing, which by the way is the second link below, YourGuitarSage.com/30 or /UGS. You'll get there the same way. Then I'm talking about being on your fingertips all the time. But the bar chord is different, okay? And the only way we can play a bar chord is to go outside of that and not play on our fingertips, okay? It's when you start graduating to new techniques. And that's what we're doing today. So we're barring that. Now, a couple things we need to think about. Even though we're barring all 6 strings, these strings that I'm pressing down with my fingertips are in front of the bar. So I don't need to apply as much pressure in this case to strings 5, 4, and 3. I don't need to. In fact, if I didn't do it at all, and let's say I just put my fingertip right here on that 6th string, then I could still play 1, 2, 3, 4 notes out of that, and I haven't even barred it. Conversely, I could take my first finger and bring it down to the 2nd string here, and I have yet another 4-string chord. That's an F chord. If I wanted to get fancier, I could bar just strings 1 and 2, and now I have a 5-string bar chord. Bar because I'm actually barring 2 strings here. And so we're only 1 note away from a full bar chord. Okay? More on that later, because like literally we could just play that chord like this and not have the bass note in there. And guess what? If we were playing in a band situation with a bass player, no one's gonna miss that note because the bass player's taking care of it. He or she will be an octave lower, but you're not going to miss that note not being there. So, very important to realize this is not a weightlifting competition. It's not to see who can lift the most or play the most notes. It's about being musical. And for you, for a song, that 3-note F chord may be great, or this one, or this one, or this one. They all may be exactly what you need. You may not need a 4, 5, or 6-note bar chord. So very important to understand that this is not about ego, but for the sake of these next 2 days, it would be helpful if we could get all 6 or at least 5 of them, because that's going to allow you to massively expand your chord vocabulary. But literally we can do the same thing with just 5 strings. Cool? So even more encouragement there that you definitely are going to do this. This is not even a question of if, it's a matter of just when. You're going to do this, okay? So let's go back to it. So with this F chord here, what I'm saying is let's break it down way down. Let's just say, if you really want to even break it down further than what I'm about to show you, you can just do 1 note at a time. But we know that we can play 1 note at a time. You've been through dexterity exercise number 1 and all its 24 variations inside UGS standard. So we're through that. Let's not even talk about the individual notes. Let's do at least 2 notes at a time. So technically these are not chords. These are what we call double stops when you play 2 notes at a time. But nonetheless, we'll call them chords, we'll call them double stops. It's a portion of the F chord. Cool? Cool. So what I want you to do, and do this with me, because if you don't do this with me, all the talk in the world is not going to help. Mike and I were talking yesterday, and he said that Gary Vee said something about you could look at a picture of a push-up, and it's not going to do anything for you. Same thing here. If you could look at this, but until you do it, it's not going to help. You might as well be watching somebody game or something like that. It's not going to help you too much. You'd get more out of that. You know the secrets of where to go. This case here, you got to get involved. So let's do it. Pick up your guitar. Let's take a first finger, and what I want you to do is I want you to use the side of that finger there, this kind of rigid part of that finger. Okay, not the pad. You could use that, but you're going to have to press harder. This part's rigid, so you don't have to press as hard. So if you lay that down a little bit sideways as opposed to like this, now I'm on the pad of my finger, now I'm on, and actually this is uncomfortable. I have to stick my elbow way out here for this to happen. Otherwise, I just tuck my elbow in, which it actually feels more comfortable, and now I'm like literally sitting at more than a 45-degree angle on that finger, okay? Now, normally I don't drill down and get this technical with this sort of thing because you'll figure it out yourself if you just get involved. But for the sake of this lesson, I'm going to do it. So now what I want you to do is I want you to bring that bar. Remember, we're not playing on our fingertips because we can't play the bar that way. It has to be like this. You don't have to hyperextend that knuckle if you don't want to. but as long as it's pressing down there. And then in this case, we're on strings 1 and 2, and the only thing I'm doing is picking strings 1 and 2. We want them to be able to sound at the same time. We don't want this. We want them to sound at the same time, meaning you're pressing down at the same time. My thumb is in the back of the neck. See that? I've got enough space right there in between my neck and the palm of my hand, the webbing of my hand. I'm not doing this. If I'm doing that, I've already lost because I can't get a proper bar. You might be able to. I can right now for just those two. But later on, when we're getting to the rest of the chord, you won't be able to properly bar. So important that you drop that thumb behind the back of the neck. Dear Lord, I probably have like 2% Italian in me, but that really comes out whenever I'm talking about the neck for some strange reason. So here you go. So there's 2, right? 1 and 2. That's all you're doing. Now what we're doing here essentially is we're taking inventory of the chord. Strings 1 and 2. Boom. You did this. Good. You can put a check mark that you've done one thing already towards doing this. Okay. Now what I want you to do is I want you to keep your first finger on the first fret of the second string, and then take your second finger and put it on the second fret of the third string. So just like a set of stairs. Well, 2 to be exact. And then I want you to pick strings 2 and 3. And they should sound at the same time. You can use the pick rest, which I say is the #1 thing to know so that you get your picking straight, right? The pick rest, you watch the comments inside of UGS about this one, people love it. I have that in the course that I'm giving you guys today for free, YourGuitarSage Standard. The second link below, you can access that entire course for free today. Check it out. So we got 1 and 2. Okay. Now for this next one, what we're going to do is we're going to keep that second finger down on that second fret of the third string, and what you're going to do now is put your pinky down. You're going to put your pinky down on the third fret of the fourth string. You could technically use your third finger, but the way that we're going to form the chord here later on is that we're going to put that third finger up. So right now, second finger, second fret, third string from the bottom. Okay, that's an A, by the way. There you go. Now you're taking your pinky and you're putting it on the third fret of the fourth string. It's an F if you wanted to know, okay? And you're just going to pick those 2 using the pick rest that I show you in UGS Standard. Just do that. Okay? Going to keep going. Keep your pinky down. Now what you're going to do is you're going to take your third finger and you're going to put it down on the third fret of the fifth string. So third finger, third fret, fifth string. Pinky, third fret, fourth string. That's what you got. Using the pick rest. That's all you're doing. And then you're going to keep that third finger where it's at, and you're going to put your first finger down on the first fret of the low E string. That's it. And you're going to play those 2 together. Now, intermission. Let's talk about this for a second. If you go forward from here and you try to do a 4-string chord and you have problems and you're getting frustrated, it's because you're not slowing things down. It's equivalent to just barely being able to juggle two balls and then being like, you know something, I know 2 balls are difficult to juggle. I'm going to go straight for 4. Is that advisable? Not for me. If I'm teaching you, it's not advisable. I'm going to say, get good at those 2. When you get so good at those 2 that you can bring in a third, then do that. But you definitely don't want to skip. That's crazy talk. Don't do that. And friends, this is just one lesson, but if you can apply that concept to everything in life, there's no stopping you. If you don't apply that concept to everything in life, whatever it is you don't apply that concept to, you'll get stopped at. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. You've got to do things step by step. You've got to break them down. You probably do this automatically anyhow in your life with certain things, but in other things you probably think that you should be getting it right away. Guitar is not one of those things. Okay? The only thing I've seen change like that overnight is a heart. And it usually takes something quite profound to make that happen. Other than that, your mind takes a long time. You got to learn stuff. You got to break stuff down step by step, okay? Okay. You got that? Feel you got that good? You want to keep moving? Let's do it. So now, if you had any problems with doing those 2 notes at a time, then even though I'm going through, and we're going to do 3 notes and 4 notes and 5 notes and 6 notes here today, because I'm going through this very quickly with you, even though that's the case, I really want you at home to go through this nice and slowly. It may take you hours, it may take you days, it may take you weeks, probably not weeks, probably not days. If you sat with this for a few hours, the way that I'm teaching it to you, I have zero doubt that you'll be able to absolutely dominate this. Zero doubt. Okay? Now we did 2, now let's do 3. So we're gonna bar. Again, let's go back to it. Thumb is down, it's not up here. It's down so that we've got that space right there in that web, right? That's what we got. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna pick those 2. Everything good there? Yeah. Now we're introducing that 3rd ball. We're juggling, so we're gonna take that 2nd finger and put it down. Now when you do this, friends, do not compromise this guy. Leave him as being. He doesn't get less weight. He doesn't get less pressure. He doesn't move around, get jacked around with it. This guy's coming second to the party. These guys are already established, okay? This guy's coming into the group. So what I want you to do is I want you to think about it as you're putting that finger down, and does that finger play nicely with those 3? If it doesn't, adjust this, because this is your base. That's what you're establishing first, and then you're bringing this guy in. And what you're going to do is you're going to continue to move your finger around until you get it. Now, if any of you are having difficulty with this, then welcome to being alive, because nobody doesn't have a problem with this at first. Everybody has a problem with this. So if you're feeling that, that just means you're alive. That's all it means. Which is great, by the way. That's a bonus. There you go. There's 3. Okay, now, I know a lot of people, they have a hard time slowing things down like this, but that's also why they're not learning. And you don't get the carrot. If you don't slow it down, you don't get to have the carrot. This is the carrot. So slow it down. Here we go. 1st finger, 1st fret, 2nd string. 2nd finger, 2nd fret, 3rd string. 3rd finger, 3rd fret, 4th string. So now this is truly like a set of stairs. Boom, boom, boom. And the only thing we're going to do is, actually, let's put that pinky down, because that's the way we're holding that chord ultimately. We're going to hold it like that. So let's do that back again. 1st and 2nd finger will be where it's at. Instead of the 3rd finger, let's use the pinky, okay? Get close to those frets, because the further you are away from the fret, like that, the harder you're going to have to press down. So we want to be closer to the fret, but not over. We want to be just close to that fret. Playing on your fingertips, in this case, because we're not barring anything for this small chord. And now you're going to pick 4, 3, and 2. Now, for those of you who doubt this process, I have literally seen hundreds and hundreds of people report back after doing this process saying, Eric, I'm finally playing bar chords now. So either I just lucked upon something here, or I know what I'm talking about. One of the two. I think it's the latter. But, okay, so now we're going to keep 2 where it's at, and we're going to keep 4 where it's at. We can let the 1st finger go. Another reason why we're doing this is we're seeing what is the same through this chord. Okay, so if you lift your fingers up and then you put them back on, now you got more work to do. So you got the 2nd finger on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string. We got the pinky on the 3rd fret of the 4th string. And now you're going to take your 3rd finger and you're going to put it down on the 3rd fret of the 5th string. Just like that. It looks like your E chord, except you're playing it, instead of fingers 1, 2, and 3 are using fingers 2, 3, and 4. That's all you're doing. We want to free this finger up because then that allows us to do any variation of that bar chord. So I'm leading you somewhere with this, okay? Corey, thank you so much for the donation. So kind, always donating. So sweet, Corey. Really appreciate that. And Corey, you're going to learn how to play bar chords today. I saw that you're having difficulty with it. This is going to fix it, I promise. And then tomorrow we're going to talk about taking what you actually conceptually, physically learned today, and then we're going to throw gasoline on it, and we're going to get 120 chords out of this minimum. We could actually do a lot more than that, but we're going to focus on 120 of the good ones, okay? The ones that you're going to be using all the time. John, thank you so much. You give so much to keep people involved. Thank you. John, thank you, and that means so much to me. I love our little community here, man. I really do. Very positive, very kind folks. Let's keep that momentum going, okay? Thank you so much, John. All right, so there we go. So now we're up here, and we're playing these 3. Slow and steady wins the race every single time, friends. Let other people race past you because they're going to slow down and they're going to give up. Slow and steady wins the race. So if you do this right here and that, you did these other 2 that we just did, now we're on our way to actually playing this chord. Okay, now relieve that second finger. You're just using fingers 3 and 4, and you're going to put your first finger on the first fret of the low E string. Here you go. That's also known as a power chord, right? That in and of itself, right? Wrong key, but there you go. Those are just power chords, right? So, now since we're not doing 2 notes at a time, we're doing 3 now, we might have more margin of error. Our margin of error might increase. So what I want you to do is I want you to listen to each individual note and make sure that they're all sounding good. Let's do it. Uh-oh, that one's muting. So you're going to run into that sometimes. You're going to run into it buzzing. That's what the buzzing sounds like. Well, a mute sounds like this. So far, my chord sounds great until I get to that 3rd note. Okay, now, we don't have to reconstruct this whole chord. We just need to isolate that finger and go, well, why is it doing that? Oh, I'm too far up on the fret. I need to be back a little bit, and I need to apply a little bit more pressure. There we go. Oh, good. Beautiful. So now you did all the 2s, and you just did all the 3s, okay? We're graduating, intermission. Give yourself a hand. We're going someplace with this, okay? Again, this process for you, you may be doing this in real time with me and you're getting it. There's other people, they don't need this, they don't need me to slow it down this much, and then there's other people, they need me to slow it down way more. Well, me slowing it down way more is probably not the thing you need to, what you need to do is you need to slow it down. So you need to sit down with your guitar, go through this methodically and surely until you get it. You get it when you get it, okay? I don't know of anybody who gives up on their kid because the first time they didn't walk or the 700th time they didn't walk. Like they're going to keep on assuming that this kid's going to walk because most of us walk. Okay, so you got to have that same kindness to yourself, that same it's fine. Like I haven't earned it yet. Earn it. How about that? For those of you who are like me, where you're like, you got to earn stuff, then do that. Earn it. Okay. So now we got 3 there. And if you notice with the 2, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. And then with the 3 notes, we got 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. And now if we go to 4 notes at a time, we're going to have 1, 2, 3. And we go to 5 notes, we're going to have 2. And then the 6th note, we have 1. So basically, flip-flops, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on and so forth. So now we're doing 4 notes at a time. So what I want you to do is I want you to form that bar chord, or those 2 notes, right? And if you notice that now that we've done this with the 2nd finger, just going back to 2 fingers is quite easy. Well, once we start getting used to using this 3rd finger, you're pushing yourself. You're at the gym, and we've been several weeks now, and you started off with 100 pounds, and then you slapped on some plates the next week, and then you slapped on plates again. So if you go back to 100 pounds, it's going to seem easy. Just like a swimmer who swims with their clothes on, and then when they go to competition, they shave all their hair and they put Vaseline on, and they're like a little fish through the water. In the same way here, you will feel this process gradually happening, and what that is also going to do is that's going to motivate you to keep going. Same thing if you go to the gym. You see the results, you're like, I'm going to keep going to the gym. If you don't see the results and you expect it to happen overnight, you're going to get frustrated and you're going to bail out. I don't want you to do that, so don't do it. So here we go. So let's go back to what we know. We know that we got this. We've done this already. We've been down this road. We're lifting 100 pounds. We're good here, right? We got that. And then we just added this. And we did that successfully, let's say. All right, now we're adding that pinky. So now this is what we're going for. You're not having to worry about this note and this note. You're just worried about the stuff you're not worried about anything. You're just focused on it. Let's say that. Okay? That's your goal. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to relieve that first finger and just, you're not going to play a bar chord anymore. Now you're just going to put your first finger on that first fret of the second string, and then you're going to bring this third finger down to the third fret of the A string, and we're going to play the 4 inside strings. Make sense? Good. Now, keep these 3 fingers where they're at. Let's take that first finger and let's bump it up to the low E string. Now we're playing strings 6, 5, 4, and 3. Use that pick rest that I teach you in UGS Standard. Very, very important that you're not doing that, okay? Okay, good. Intermission. Here we go. So now you did the 2s, you did the 3s, you just did the 4s. So now let's do the 5s. We're getting there. And again, you may not be doing this in real time with me, and if you are, you may not be getting it this quick. I'm not really expecting you to get it this quick, but as opposed to us sitting here for 3 hours, which you're going to do on your own in your own practice, we're going to take like 40 minutes and do it, and then we're going to get to your questions. Cool? All right, so now, ultimately, we're going for that, right? But we've done the 4 strings, so now let's stack it up. Let's bar, as we've done before. Now, this is going to seem super easy to you once you've done the 2s and the 3s and the 4s. Now we're going for 5, so we bar that. We put that second finger down. We put that 4th finger down. We put that 3rd finger down. And it's good to check, because every time you put a new finger down, you're going to have a tendency to alter and move your hand, and it may not be in the most positive way that's going to help your chord. So you do have to check. So I'm going. The other thing that's really important, friends, you got to listen to this. This is super important. Is you can't just keep doing it over and over and over again. The whole point of us doing this is so that you can isolate the problem and say, that's the problem. Oh, the back of my pinky is hitting the string. Now you've isolated it. Otherwise, it could be like 40 things. So you got to get legit. And this is why you need to be your own teacher. You need to be able to look and see, okay, I'm muting it with the back of my finger. Or my guitar needs to be set up. Or, oh, heck, I'm not pressing down hard enough, or whatever. But you need to isolate it. And what we're doing here is we're finding out where our weak links are. Okay? So here we are, 5 strings. If it sounds like this, okay, well, I got a buzzer and I've got a... Okay, so I need to analyze that. What's going on there? I need to apply more pressure. And then what happens is when you do that enough, when you have a problem and then you focus on it and you say, okay, that's a problem, let me fix that. And you do that enough times, your brain will figure out a way to get you out of that. That is the way that we are, okay? That is the way beings are. That's the way animals are. We're human animals. That's the way humans are. That's the way things that live are. A tree will go around a fence post, you know. If there's a tree next to it, it's going to lean its branches over here. It's just the way it works. It's an intelligence, call it whatever you want, that allows us to move and dance with the universe, okay? And you're going to do the same thing here, but the only way that you're going to be able to do that is to actually identify that there's an issue, focus on that issue, and be able to specifically say, well, this is the issue. My finger's touching that string. Once you do that, you're off to the races. This lesson is not just for bar chords, but again, if you apply it to anything on guitar and anything in life, you're going to figure out what the issue is, and then you just fix it, you know? But until you identify it, it's not going to help much. Okay, so we did that now, and the only thing we're barring really are these two strings, the bottom two strings. So now, let's free up that first finger. Keep fingers 2, 3, and 4 where they're at, and take your first finger and bring it. Oh, I take that back actually, because now what we're doing, I take that back. We barred this. Now what we're going to do is we're going to lay our whole finger down there as a bar, and we're going to just pick strings 1 or 6 through 2. Now, many of you are having an issue with this right now. That is okay. I didn't expect anything different. Because number one, you're super smart, and number two, you're alive. So that means you're going to run into some issues here if you haven't done this before. But, just like if you're having intermission time again, here we go. If you're having an issue with lifting weights at 120 pounds, let's say you can't even get it off the bar, okay? Then go to 115, go to 110, and get as many of those out as you can. You're going to be building a strength. You're going to be close to that weight, and this is the same thing that we're doing here. Is you've got to back off a little bit and really do well at those things, and then ramp it up. But sometimes you can ramp it up beyond your frustration level, okay? I'm all about challenging yourself. But if you challenge yourself so much that you give up on yourself, well, then you're a terrible teacher to yourself, and you need to be kinder. You need to allow there to be some growth there that you can see, you can visually see, so that you will be encouraged to keep going up the mountain, okay? So we got the 5, and then we got this guy. And honestly, if you can get this guy, getting that 6th note is not going to be an issue whatsoever, okay? Another thing that you could do is just practice the bar. And sometimes you'll find that at this this F chord here at the first position, that sometimes that chord can be a little bit harder to play than, say, at the 3rd fret or the 5th fret. Beyond the 5th fret now, the strings are starting to get a little bit higher again, and you may not have the same luck as if you were, say, at the 3rd, 4th, or 5th fret. But if you're at the 1st fret, or say like the 7th fret and above, it's going to get more difficult. Here at the 1st fret, you're fighting the nut a little bit. The nut is wanting to pull the string up. So you're fighting against that. When you start getting over to the 3rd, 4th, and 5th fret, it's a little bit more forgiving because you're further away from the nut. And as you get beyond, say, like the 7th fret and above, well, now the strings are getting higher up. If you look, the strings are highest at the highest fret, and they're lowest at the lowest fret. If I'm looking at it like that, there's not much room here, but up here there's more room. It's just the natural way that a guitar is set up. So that's one trick to remember, is don't necessarily do it down here. Scooch it up if you'd like to make it easier. Would you like another hack? I knew you would, so glad you said yes. Take your capo and do this. Put it, say, at the 3rd fret, and watch what happens. Boom, your strings just got pressed down, or at least mine did. Or I come to the 5th fret, and I do the same thing. So 3rd or 5th fret's a great place to do it. Now do the bar chord. So we're just looking for the form. We're not worried about the actual F chord. We just want the form, which is an E form, right? It looks like an E chord that we've slid up, right? But by laying the capo on the fretboard, we are going to ease up the tension of how much we need to press the strings down. And that's good, because again, it's like if you're working out and you're going for 120 pounds, it's like having a spotter. If that sounds like cheating to you, then by all means, do not use the capo. by all means, if you'd like to make it hard for yourself and that makes you feel good, then do that. But for the majority of us that are just trying to get this and feel good about it, put the capo down. It's going to help you a lot. It's going to press the strings down. And then you're going to be able to get the chord. And you're going to be like, daggone it, I did it with the capo. Now let's try it without the capo. So if you will, it's another safety measure to get you to understand that you're this close away from playing bar chords. And if you're this close away from playing bar chords, you're this close to adding 120 new chord forms to your chord vocabulary. Cool? And we're going to be doing that tomorrow. Okay, so doing that is another thing, and then also just literally practicing holding your finger down, say like at the 3rd fret or the 5th fret, and this is all you're doing. You're just doing this. You're just playing and making sure that you can hear every note, and there's no mutes, there's no buzzes, none of that. You're just going for it. And so what you might need to do is you might need to put a little bit more pressure in the center of that finger. People say, how? Well, at a certain point here, you are going to have to start feeling. It's just like if I would describe to you how to kiss somebody. I can't be there with you kissing them, okay? You're going to have to feel this one out a little bit. You're going to have to move your mouth around or something until it feels right. Same thing with your fingers here. You just got to move your fingers around until it feels right. I'm giving you way more than most people would ever give you as far as like how to play a bar chord here. So at some point, you got to get involved. You got to do the work. It's never going to happen without you doing the work. Cool? Alrighty. So that's the first part of our lesson there, friends. You've got to learn this stuff. You got to dig into it by tomorrow if you really want to get all this stuff down. So tonight, what your homework is, 2 strings at a time, 3 strings at a time, 4 strings at a time, 5 strings at a time. If you can get 6 out, great. That's your goal, but obviously there's a progression, just like in grades, 2, 3, 4th, 5th, 6th. There's a reason they go in that order so the kids don't get mixed up. Same thing with you. Just make sure that you're doing this and do the work. Go through the 2, go through the 3, go through the 4. You will get this. I can promise you, you will. And then tomorrow, when we start stacking the visuals up of why it is that one particular chord works over another, boom, you're going to have a bunch more chords. All right? Beautiful. Okay, let's dig into some questions, my friends. Did I mention that I'm really glad that you guys are here today? I really am so thankful for you being here. I'm thankful for the positivity in a world that's in flux right now. So just that. The world's in flux right now. If I can extend anything to you guys right now, it's just don't fear and love. Don't fear and love. And I think we can all agree with that. And if we just stop worrying about particulars and we just focus on love and we focus on those things that are good, those things that are positive, those things that are going to change the world, let's do that. And we can do that together. I can't imagine anybody in here doesn't agree with that. If there is, there's probably one person and they do agree with it, but they just want to be a class clown or whatever. Okay, cool. All right, so let's do this. Barring a full fret, can't get that dang B string to ring out. Yeah, and so that's great that you got that, Nick. That's amazing that you got that because here it is. You're looking at it as a negative, but it's not a negative. Congratulations, Nick. You found your Achilles heel. Now that you've focused on that, just like when one's meditating and they could say, oh, wow, I do this, or I am thinking that thought, you're just noticing it. And literally just noticing the thing makes it go away, makes it repair. They say where focus goes, energy, where your focus goes, energy grows. So the B string, that's the issue. So Nick, what I want you to do is, especially when you're practicing this, what I want you to do is I want you to especially focus on that B string. How can I fix that? What's the problem? It's not the B string here, FYI. It's not the B string, it's your hand. That's another thing to remember is it's not the B string, it's your hand. That may be the area of your hand that has the weakness, but as soon as you can go, okay, well, it's me, and I just need to do something specifically on that B string, then it takes the energy away from the B string being the thing that's hindering you, when in fact it's you hindering you. It's the way that you're fingering that. I know, semantics, but the semantics, devil's in the detail. for sure. Paul, thank you so much. Saw another guy that said to use your arm, elbow, to put leverage on the back of the guitar to press fingers into the strings. Thoughts? Yes. Paul, number one, thank you so much for the donation. Super cool. And Emmy, thank you so much for doing that, as per always. Okay, so, yeah, so the question is, so another guy said to use your arm, elbow, to put leverage on the back of the guitar to press fingers into the strings. Yes, 100%. Paul, that's how all guitar playing is done. It's rare that you'll see somebody play guitar with their thumb free floating back here. It's like never done. Yeah, certain people will play like this, but they also have gravity working with them. You know, you see, there's several guitar players that play like this. I'm not sure why that is. Huh, how about that? What does blind have to do with the way they're holding the guitar? But somehow I see, you know, very famous blues guitar player who's passed, no longer with us. I can't even think of his name right now.
Jeff Healey.
Jeff Healey, thank you, Mike. Jeff Healey would play like that. And so, you know, you got to think gravity. If I just put my hands down on this, I mean, however much my forearm weighs, that's how much pressure and I'm not having to do anything. I'm not using any muscle strength. So in that case, we could literally not have the thumb behind the back of the neck. But friends, if we're doing this, thumbs in the back of the neck, or we have the fingers out front here, we have to be pressing. Does that make sense? This is the only way to do it. We could pull against the guitar, but that would be goofy. We need something to counter it. We're doing this. We're smushing. It's like we're picking something up, okay? So in the same way, I want you guys to do that. The thumb needs to be behind the back of the neck. The arm and elbow, maybe they mean like tucking in the elbow. If that helps you, do it. I don't like to overemphasize things like that. Sometimes it will help people and get their hand in a different place, better place, and that sort of thing, and that's great. But I don't like to overemphasize that stuff because I don't do it. I have done it before, and it has been helpful in the times that I have done it. But just there's lots of little things. Use them, and the stuff that works for you, let them stick, and the things that don't use them. Okay. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Paul. Lord Excess, come on, man. Look at this. Thank you. Thank you for your time, patience. $100 donation. Wow, Lord Excess, thank you. Thank you for your time, patience, and dedication to teaching us. We love you and UGS crew, and you are appreciated. UGS community rocks. Thank you so much, Lord Excess. I truly appreciate that. The crew appreciates that. And I agree with you. We have a really beautiful group of people, both who work here and the crew, and I just want to keep that going. I want to keep those positive vibes. I've never known anything other than positive vibes to create more positive vibes, not negative vibes. So we're keeping that energy going here, okay? So thank you very much. That's super sweet. So should we be using more of the side of our finger to bar with? Amber, if it works for you. I find that it is very helpful. As opposed to playing a bar chord like this, I find it's more beneficial to tuck that elbow a little bit, just because what's happening is you're moving the hand sideways now, and now you're using the side of your finger. If you tuck that elbow in, it's just a natural thing. I'm not sure else how the hand would get sideways if you didn't tuck the elbow in. So I think it's helpful, and then that will help you use the side of that finger. Yeah. Alto, well, it's good to look at a guitar in these times. I agree, and I'm with you, Atto. I am totally with you. All right, Bach Talk 55. Do you find it easier to play bar chords on a Fender Radius rather than a Gibson or flatter? Bach Talk, I tend to not favor any particular guitar. I love all sorts of different types of guitars, and because of that, because I go from a Fender to a Gibson to a Gretsch to a this, that, and the other thing, I really don't think about it too much. But when you take somebody who's been playing for a very, very, very long time on one particular instrument, you will probably get a different opinion out of them. They'll say, oh my God, yeah, that's why I use Fenders all the time. And there's some truth to that, because if you're used to listening with a certain set of headphones all the time, or through a certain set of speakers all the time, or using a certain pen all the time, you're going to build a habit, a paradigm, and sometimes it's just subconsciously. You're going to build an attachment to that. So for me, I don't I play so many different guitars that it's not like really a thing for me, so I don't think about it as being easier. Although I feel a little bit more at home with a Fender, I'd say. Just a little bit more. All right.
Let's circle back to Paul. He had the...
Oh, he says, is it this, no, I meant the right arm?
Yes.
Huh, no, I meant the right arm. Let me read this comment again. Saying that your elbow to put leverage on the back of the guitar to press strings into. Oh, so he's saying like take your hand and come over here. That's the only thing I can think of what you're saying, Paul. When we start going to these Zoom calls on UGS, which we're going to do next time, you can show me. That's what we're going to be doing in UGS. Hopefully, God willing, the creek don't rise. That's what we're going to do is have these interactive inside of UGS where I'm seeing your beautiful face and so on and so forth, and you can actually show me. But I'm assuming what you mean by this is putting leverage on the back of the neck, the guitar, to press the strings, the fingers into the strings. Am I getting that right, or are you guys hearing something different? Yeah. I think that's what you mean, Paul. If that's not what you mean, yeah, you could do that, and then what that would do is that might give you, it might give you the knowledge of, oh, I'm not pressing hard enough. Because then you're over here and you're like, well, the technique is right, I'm just not pressing hard enough. So if that B string's a problem for you, right, and you're doing this, and you're like, ooh, I can feel that string. Like when it's not playing, like that's playing, this is not playing, I can literally feel it vibrate, it's tickling right underneath that knuckle. So I know specifically that I'm muting it. So yes, you could take your hand and bring it around, and then actually feel that you're pressing that down. Yes, indeed, you could do that. And if that's not correct in what I'm saying there, Paul, let me know, and we'll go down further. Thomas, thank you, bud, for the super kind donation. Wow. Okay. I think Paul may mean pulling the guitar body towards you while also pulling the neck. Oh, so maybe doing like this? Yeah, you could, but ultimately you're not going to play guitar that way. So that may help in the moment, but that's not realistic. No one's doing this. I mean, my hand's on the guitar, right? So I may do that. There is some truth to that. But I have to say that in 50 years, or not 50, but almost 40 years of playing, I've never done that. If my hand was getting real tired in a gig and I had to eke out that chord, I might do that, But listen to my guitar. I'm also gonna put it out of guitar, put it out of pitch a little bit too. Okay, it's a lever. It is a lever. Yes, indeed, it's a classic lever. All right, now I know what you're saying. Sure. Okay, friends, if you would, all caps with a question mark. If you have a question for me, if you're talking amongst yourselves, that's okay. You can do that. Someone's saying slight pressure. Some people say as a cheat, slight pressure. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it if it works for you. This is why I'm a big fan of keeping your mind open keep your mind open with everything is a good idea, and allow the truth to settle. Because if it's not truth, it's not going to settle. You may hold on to it for a little while, but it's not going to settle. So in this case here, yeah, be open to it. Maybe that will work. Try it. If it works for you, then great. But there's so many different little hacks like that you can do. I tried to give you the ones, or I did give you the ones that I've seen happen that show results over and over and over again. And I kept out anything that I haven't found to work. And these are what your guys are saying here. There's truth to it, but I haven't found them to work consistently because you just don't get to do that all the time, pull back on the guitar like that. And again, it's going to put your guitar out of pitch, right? I mean, am I wrong? Can you hear that? I sure can. I'm barely pressing that guitar like that. All right, good. Thank you, Kelly. Now listen to this. This is right. Thrash metal is correct here. Thrash metal and fun riffs Like someone else said, which by the way, that now your moniker is even funner and cooler. Thrash metal, and fun licks. I love that. Like someone else said, you want to get to where you press as light as possible and not get fatigued. Why work harder than you need to? I'm all about hard work when you need to and when it counts, but I'm definitely a big fan of not wasting energy in a particular direction. This is why I guard my mind. This is why I guard what goes into my mind. I guard what I hear. I am the guard of my own mind and everything else. Don't waste your energy. And what thrash metal's saying here is absolutely 100% correct. Don't waste your energy. What you want to do now, in the beginning, when we're learning how to play, especially bar chords, what happens is we don't have the technique. And when we don't have the technique, we compensate for just sheer grunt power, right? Brunt, not grunt. Grunt is brunt. Just sheer, I'm gonna grab this neck. And what's funny is I've had big burly men, construction workers and the like, come to take lessons from me. And when I present the bar chord to them, this guy who could snap me in half is having a difficulty with the same bar chord that I can play very easily. So I know it's not strength as much as it is technique, because then my little kids would come in and with the right practice, they would play that bar chord fine, and hear this, 300-pound mammoth of a man is having a difficulty with the same chord. The guitars are not set up too differently. So that tells me that it's not strength as much as it is technique. And I notice this when I'm playing. As I practice more, my playing gets lighter and lighter. And what I mean by that is, if we were measuring it, and let's say I'm pressing down, 5 ounces, that's the amount of pressure, or a pound or something like that. Well, the more that I practice, it may go down to a half a pound, or it may go down to 3 ounces that I'm pressing down, if we could measure that. And so what does that mean? Well, it means you can go a lot longer. So like going to the gym, and if you are, when you do a bench press, it comes down to your chest and you push it up. But if you took that bar and you put it out about a foot in front of you, like near your head, and then you dropped it, it's the same weight, but you're doing such an inefficient movement that it would be way harder to do. So as you get better at this, and especially when you're doing the 2 fingers, 3 fingers, 4 fingers, 5 fingers bit, you're going to find out what your inefficiencies are, and once you remedy them, they're remedied. That's the cool thing. You don't have to think about them anymore, and you will be working out efficiently. And you'll be putting the weight in the right place so that you can lift the maximum amount of weight, or have the stamina that you need to play full gigs and everything else. So it has less to do with the strength, but in the beginning, when we have zero technique and the only thing we have is strength, that's what we use, and that's very, very normal. And then as your technique gets better, you will find that you will need less strength to do it. But yes, I'm all about strength too, right? Use your capo. Oh, by the way, let's talk about that. Using your capo, using putty, using something to exercise that hand, especially as a new player, you've got to develop that hand. It's weak. It's not conditioned. It's not prepared to do the things that you're going to do on the guitar, construction worker or otherwise. It's just not prepared. So that's why we got to strengthen that hand as well. Cool. Look at this, what Lisa is saying. Technique versus strength, same as in golf. Same as in lots of things. Lisa, thank you so much for saying that, because Jason is a big golfer as well. Jason, who's a UGS crew. He's a big golfer, and he's always talking about technique and what have you. And same thing, we've actually talked about that. Same thing is true with baseball. When they would talk to these baseball players that would hit the ball over the fence, and you ask them, how hard are you hitting that ball? They would say about a solid 6 or 7, maybe an 8. So they're definitely not swinging 9 or 10, because when you swing 9 or 10, now you're losing the technique. You're sacrificing the technique for strength. And a lot of times it's not the strength, it's about hitting the ball right where it should be, right? The Buddhists call this the middle way. It's It doesn't mean, far left. It doesn't mean, far right. Could mean something is found in the middle there. There's a little hidden gem in there, right? So, okay, so after practicing with bar chords, the side of the index finger has string marks and is grazed. Anything to counter that? No. That is basic physics. You're pressing on something, it's pressing back into your skin's gonna do that. That's normal. Totally fine to do that, and it'll go away. Sandy Lee is saying, good lesson. Bar chords hurt my hand and wrist. Space between bar finger and other fingers causes pain. Been practicing for years. Any other suggestions? Sandy, yeah, let's talk about it. A couple things. Number one, I would make sure that your guitar is set up correctly. So go bring it to a professional luthier, pay the money, or find at least one professional guitar player or somebody who plays a lot. At least they don't have to be a professional, but someone who plays a lot. A teacher, that sort of thing. Let them play your guitar. Say, is this guitar an easy guitar to play, or is it a hard guitar to play? If you brought a guitar to me, I'd be like, ooh, man, this plays great. I love it. That's all I need to do is just put my hands on it and play it. I know right away whether it's set up correctly, at least as far as the feel of it. You know what I mean? If I pressed down the strings and they were really high or something like that, then I would know right away, Sandy, it's your guitar. And it could be your guitar. There's a possibility of that. But Sandy, it probably more has to do with that you're not being consistent with your bar chord playing. If you're ending up playing a bar chord every other day or something like that, then that's just not enough. So it's just like going to the gym. You hurt your muscles, and then you're like, oh, I gotta wait a week. And then you wait a week or two, and then you go back and you work out again, your muscles hurt again. What you need to do when you go to the gym is you work out, and then the next day you go and you work out again a little bit more. And then the next day you go and work out a little bit more. You don't just go hardcore one day and then your muscles hurt and then you stop. So you have to condition them. Same thing with you, Sandy. My guess would be that you're not doing it often enough, and then that's the deal. Also, these techniques, if you allow the technique to take over by doing these things that I'm showing you today, you won't have to use as much strength. You're not going to have the same finger pain. When I'm pressing down this chord, it is absolutely so light what I'm playing right now. Super, super light, okay? But the only way that came to me is through practice, and it's the only way it will come to any of you is through practice. There's no, put your foot on this stool and tuck in your elbow and then you're done. No, it's only practice. That's all it is. Scott's saying, any tips for the 5th string major bar chord? Hard angle on the ring finger. So Scott, let's talk about that. Yes. So what Scott's talking about is he's talking about an A major chord or A major form. And so what I'm doing there is I'm hyperextending my 3rd finger here. I don't know if we can get a close-up of that, Mike, but
It's not going to be very clear.
it's not going to be very clear. So notice that right here under my finger, it's bending up. It's bending out a little bit, as opposed to if I did this, where it's just flat. You know what I mean? What I'm doing is I'm actually putting more pressure on the fingertip and that first knuckle so that by the time it gets to the 1st string, there's a little bit more space in there. Now, that being said, when I go to play a B chord, if that high E string is playing, that's a bonus. If I'm muting it, I don't sweat it. No big deal. It's a moment in time, and the chord sounds pretty daggone good like that anyhow. Right? Boom, super easy. So what I want you to do is I want you to first, and for those folks that are, that are wanting to know how to do this, take that finger, doesn't matter what finger you're using, 1st or 3rd are usually your bars. Take your other hand and push against the fingertip, like that. And you will naturally see a little bit of an arc right there, okay? That's what you want to do on the fretboard. But again, when you take something and you look and you examine it, that's why we have microscopes, so we can really get in and see what the hell's going on. this is what you got to do sometimes with your playing. You got to go, now what's going on? So he's saying bend that finger back. Oh, well, I can do that. I thought I couldn't do that all these years. Well, thanks for taking a moment, believing me, and doing it, and now you can do it. But it takes a moment in time to recognize that, and then, okay, well, now let's try to apply it. Okay, and now, but now, friends, yes, some of you are going to have a little bit more difficulty with this than others. All of our fingers are not the same. But, again, if you even go there and that's your excuse, then just quit, because you're always going to be leaning on the excuses. Mentally, if you're not mentally strong, which everybody thinks they're mentally strong, which that can be very not a good situation either, because if you think you're mentally strong and you're not, then you're just setting yourself up for a disaster. So be mentally strong. That's great. Understand that if you're going to excuses all the time, my finger's this, my guitar's that, then you're probably not setting yourself up for success. You're setting yourself up to always lean on an excuse. If that works for you, then do it. But it doesn't work for me, so I wouldn't prescribe that. Cool? Okay, good. Jeff is saying, what is the brand of that telly? I love it. Jeff, this is an RG Ellis. This is made by Greg Ellis. This was created custom from Greg Ellis, who is my guitar tech, and he brought this in the other day, and I fell in love with it. You can see he wore the neck out here a little bit, and it even has just a slight bit of checking as if it's an older one, and it plays so beautifully. It's a really beautiful guitar. So I bought it from him the other day, and I love it. Yes, I've seen these, Marine Mama saying, think of that 6-year-old girl. Yeah, I've seen tiny kids playing bar chords. If they can do it, you can do it. It's so helpful to understand that a small child can do it, because then you go, well, come on, I can do it. Yes, allow your mind, allow your heart to believe that you can do stuff. If you don't, it's really hard to do anything that you don't believe that you can do. God, I've never seen that be successful ever. What's a good intermediate ukulele to buy? I wonder if I have them in my store. I don't know off the top of my head if we have them in our store. If not, we need to put them in there. Emmy, would you put them in there sometime?
She's not in the room.
Yeah, she's not in the room. We'll put them in there. I tell you, a good one is there's several of them that are good. Kala, I have a Kala, Kala. Mitchell makes a good affordable one, Mitchell. Cordova, it's either Cordova with a V or with a B, one of the two. I don't know which one, but nonetheless, lots of good options out there. Through Guitar Center and that sort of thing. If I were you, I would buy something that's at least a minimum of $50 to $100. That would be the minimum range that I would look to buying a ukulele. And then make sure, if you're buying online, make sure the reviews are 4.5 stars and above. 4.5 stars. And make sure that lots of people have reviewed it, not 7 people who work at the company. Make sure hundreds or thousands of people have reviewed it. Cordova. Okay, it is a Cordova. I own one of those. I just didn't know if it was with a V or a B. But there you go. Thank you, Walter. Indie Dead, the more you know, the more you don't know. That's right. Thank you, Indie Dead, for your wisdom. Indie Dead dropping wisdom. Doplitz1 is saying, you're a hero to all of us. Oh, thank you so much. A lot of people don't go into depth on bar chords like you do. Definitely will be practicing bar chords all night, enough avoiding. Beautiful. Friends, if I didn't mention it, I've got a PDF for you. What? How did I forget this? I believe it's the very first link below. I'm going to look right now. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to download that right now, because I'm going there. So why wouldn't you do it too? Otherwise, you're just going to look at me going to the chat and downloading it. So if you're on any other, I don't know if we have, do we have that PDF on all the other streams, guys, or no?
The link is going to be in their chat on all streams.
I just posted a link.
Oh, okay. Oh, we need to have the description in there too on that video, but on today's video. Or maybe it is in there already.
It's going to be on Facebook, but not anywhere else.
Okay, so yes, in the description of this video, you're going to see it. That's the very first link. It says click here to download the lesson. Okay, that's it. Download that, because tomorrow what we're going to be doing, and thank you so much, Juan, for number one, the kind donation, and then also the kind words there. If you can get this today, which you most assuredly can, I'm just saying if you take the time to do it. That's what I mean. I don't have control of that, you do. So you go home, you practice this stuff, you're at home, you practice it, and then tomorrow when we get back together here, you'll be using that PDF that I'm giving you today for free. You don't have to do anything to sign up. You just download it, just hit the link, and then there you go, you got it, and then we'll be going over these videos tomorrow. Cool? All right, good. Okay, good. I love this question. Kawam is saying, what about the C and other forms? Here it is. Okay, good. Thank you so much, Shivam. Downloaded it already. So we could do this, Kawam, with any form. This is the great thing about this, okay? Here we go. Here's a C chord. Now you notice I'm playing without my first finger. Normally we play the C chord like this. But that's the finger that needs to bar. So instead of playing with fingers 1, 2, 3, we play with fingers 2, 3, 4. Now we got that first finger freed up. Where would it go? It would go right here if there was a fret, but there's not. So we have the nut there. Again, this is the concept here that we're talking about. So if I take that guy right there, it's our C chord. I'll put my finger here, because that's where it would go if there were a fret. It would go right back there. But as soon as we move this, bump this up 1 fret, this guy needs to come up 1 fret too, and conveniently, that finger is attached to my hand, so it will always follow the other fingers. So convenient. So here we go, watch. Boop. Now what I'm doing is I'm playing that same C chord that I was playing before, but I'm barring strings 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And not very well. And I also have my first finger bumped up into the 6th string here, so it's muted. If I didn't do that, if I had it down a little, it would sing out, and then we'd have this beautiful chord. Yeah, not very nice. So what I do is even though I'm barring all that, I'm taking my first finger, bumping it up into that 6th string, and that's what we get. So now, I have a C sharp and a D chord. Notice this little triangle right here. Watch, I won't move my fingers. I'll lift these fingers up. Right? Whoops, there's my chord. Now if I just lift these guys up, look, watch. Watch this. Here's my D chord right there. Right? I just had it barred before. That little triangle right there is part of that C chord. Now that's the other thing that you can think about, is that I don't have to bar the whole thing. I could just bar, since the bar is only taking care of strings 1 and 3, technically I just need to bar strings 1 through 3. Technically I don't have to bar 2, but I don't know of any other way than to bar all 3 of them at the same time. So I'm barring 1, 2, and 3. Got my 1st, 3rd, and 4th fingers down. And that guy moves all the way around. Cool? So you can do that with any form, doesn't matter. Jim is saying, Eric, I think the strats in your store are no longer offered. Could you please update the models recommended? Yes, I will have Emmy do that. And Emmy, if we don't have a Cordoba ukulele, let's put that in the store as well. Cordoba with a B. Thank you. Oh, good. Deanne Luke 9 is in Pro. He's in UGS Pro. Beautiful and loving it. Thank you so much for letting folks know. Thank you, Rich. I'm on a new diet. You know me, I'm always hacking what I eat. Yeah, Yes, Greg does keep all my guitars in shape. In fact, he came to the studio here just the other day, set everything up for me. He also built a new pedal board for me that I have yet to show you guys. So that one's another pedal board, which I love. How do you know if you're an intermediate guitarist? Maria, it's a subjective issue. It's totally subjective. So you won't know when you're an intermediate guitarist. It's not like a day where you hit that. It's kind of like growing up. You don't grow up in one day, usually. It happens over time. So, and what's intermediate to one is not intermediate to another. Same thing with beginner, same thing with advanced. The best thing for you to do, Maria, is don't worry about that. And I truly mean that. Don't worry about where you are. Don't worry about anything, number one, but don't worry about where you are. Be where you are. That's whether you're worrying about it or not, you are where you are in your age, in your health, and everything else. But what you should focus on are the things that you can change. You can change your health. You can change if you work out. You can change if you meditate. You can change if you play the guitar. Those are the things you want to focus on. We live right now, especially in the universe, in a place where people are losing so much energy in certain directions. And the only way for you to know whether you're doing that or not is to watch how you're thinking, what information you're taking in, that sort of thing. And if you're like, I'm just not where I want to be there, 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 that's energy that you could be using to be right here, right now, fixing the things that you most assuredly can. Because the future never happens. It's always right now. The first time I was told that concept, it took me a second to get it. But the truth is, what's happening tomorrow is always happening tomorrow. It's like the old sign of free beer tomorrow at the store. And the kids come and they're like, "Hey, it says free beer tomorrow. I was here yesterday and it says free beer tomorrow." The guy's like, "No, it's tomorrow. Free beer's tomorrow." They come back the next day. Well, free beer's tomorrow. It's a little jostling of the words, but it's the same thing. Tomorrow never comes. It's only right now. It's only right now. Get that mantra into your head and do something with it. Change whatever it is you're trying to work on right now. Okay. Is it the same method on acoustic? Yep, same exact method. You may have to press harder. It depends on your guitar setup, but usually on acoustics, you're talking about thicker strings. The string height is typically higher, yes. Like what John said here, I'm a pro member of UGS, right? And some days I look at beginner lessons, some days intermediate, and some days in advanced. Look for what you want to learn. Indeed, do what you want to do in life. As long as you're not harming any other being or destroying anything or being unkind, then do what it is that you want to do. That's what we were born to do, is do what we want to do, is to be happy in our hearts. This is something I discovered a few years ago. So do the things that you want to do. And John is saying, he may say, I want to learn blues today. He's going to go to the blues section. And then another time he's like, man, I really need to work on my beginner stuff. I need to get that foundation down. Then go back to that. Do what it is you want to do. Try not to get too wrapped up into, I'm an intermediate guitar player. I only need to do intermediate lessons. No, be free. This is art. Right? Music's art. Art is subjective. So there is no right or wrong. There really is not. There's just, what do you do? Oh, like Moana said. Moana is literally like one of my favorite movies ever. I mean, sorry. Take my man card, whatever. I love Moana.
You don't have it anymore anyway.
Mike says, I don't have it anymore. Like Moana said, you can find happiness right where you are. It is 100% true, and you will never find it over there. It's only right where you are, so better frickin' figure it out. If it holds a few YGS picks, people can hand out when it comes up. Oh, okay, sorry. You guys are talking amongst yourselves there. Love one another. Indeed, Lord XS. Indeed. Oh, what? I love it. Marine Mama, now I'm watching Tony Robbins, changing my mindset, can't change yesterday, moving forward. Beautiful, beautiful Maureen. I feel like a crazy person when I talk about this stuff, but I'm telling you, there's not one area of my life that this is not absolutely 100% 10x'd in every part of my life, is that mindset right there. It's like yesterday's gone. If you want to stay in yesterday and continue to suck and continue to have a miserable life and continue to feel terrible, and if that works for you and misery is a beautiful thing to you, I've never seen that, honestly, I've never seen it, but if you believe that it is so powerful and living in misery and living in sadness and living in strife is good, then don't keep me back. Don't keep me from your destiny. But I don't think it's that way. I've never honestly seen that, at least in my filter. Maybe I've got it totally wrong. But you can't fix yesterday. You can only fix today. And by fixing today, tomorrow will figure itself out if you're fixing today, but you only can focus on today. So Marine Mama, I love when people discover Tony, or look, Tony is just a dude, but he's a really wise dude who is a broker of all these great systems and what have you, okay? There's a million people teaching guitar, but you're watching me right now, but there's a million people teaching it, so it's not rocket science. There's just truisms in the universe, and if we can latch on to those, grab them, apply them, boom, you will watch your life change. So I love that you're seeing that, Marine Mama. It makes me really happy. It's yet another person who is going to change the world. I played 35 years to get intermediate and still find some of these basics from Eric I've never learned or thought about enough. Good, love that. Thank you, Thrash. Susan, bye. Bye, Susan. All right. Oh, hey, Mike, if we have any other questions on any of the other platforms, feel free to let me know. I can head over.
But now would be a great time to encourage it.
Okay. Yeah, let's do this, friends. On Facebook, we can pull comments now into the chat. So if you have any questions on Facebook, and I'm going to kind of look for you, Mike, to post those, because I don't have a really good view here of Facebook. It's not very,
Yes.
It's so weird. It's just kind of goofy. So I'm going to keep looking on YouTube, on YouTube, as my as my mother-in-law from Venezuela calls it, the YouTube. I love her. Yes, I'm going to keep looking here on YouTube. But if on all the other platforms, if you're watching today, except for, can we pull them from Instagram too? I don't think we can.
We cannot.
We cannot. That's the only platform we can't. I'm sorry, Instagram. You're not even watching right now anyhow, I don't think anymore. Kevin Smith, you got it, my friend. Be kind to all beings. I'm not crazy. Thank you, Rick. Man, if I'm crazy, then that's fine. Then I'll be one of those guys that they threw in prison and they'll talk about years later and they're like, that guy wasn't crazy. He invented antibiotics or whatever. Like those people that did those things that no one believed, like the guy that, I think it was the guy that invented antibiotics, or the guy that, Nemovice or whatever, the guy that discovered that there were germs on your hands, right? And the first time he brought that information to the world, they said, oh, you're a witch, you're a crazy person, right? Now we're like, oh, no, that wouldn't happen now. No, that's not happening right now. So this guy says, oh, there's germs on your hands, and they literally threw him in an insane asylum, and that's where he died. But we used his information, and we still use it today. He found that out because the doctors would go from the morgue straight to delivering babies, and they had like, I forgot, the mortality rate was like 50% or something crazy. And then it went down to like 1% by just doing like one thing, washing your hands after dealing with dead bodies. Whoop-de-de-doo! Right? How about that? It's pretty cool. Scriptic, yes. Oh, thanks so much, bud. Yeah, the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, you will see a little smiley face. And right next to the smiley face, you'll see a little US dollar symbol. And if you click that, you can donate. There's a way to donate. Oh, thank you, Shivam. Thank you, friend. Mm-hmm. Indeed, John's saying. Indeed, John is saying, look at every day as if you were a beginner. You are a beginner to learn what you don't know yet. Indeed, man, just keep that mindset. I've heard some really smart people say that curiosity might be one of the most important things that we have. And I have to agree, curiosity, because if you are, obviously curiosity could lead to something not good, but typically just curiosity of like, God, how do you get better at that? How do you do this? How do I get stronger? What have you? That curiosity makes you ask the right questions. How can I do that? What should I do? Who should I talk to? And then that starts paving a path towards greatness. So I love that idea. Jim Porter, thank you so much, bud. Enjoying UGS. Beautiful. Love it. And Dan McDonald, love your guitar lessons. I'm identifying many of my weak points. Woohoo! Got to practice a bit more now. And that is the number one thing. I don't know why people fear finding their weak points. That's the whole point. Like, that's how you improve. You find out what's not working. If you're walking around with a daggone stone in your shoe all the time and you're like, I'm not going to look in my shoe. And then you find out you got a shoe that you've been walking, a rock that you've been walking around with in your shoe for years. And then you take it out and you're like, well, hell, that was easy. That's a cool thing. Corey said, make a rabbit hole channel. I want to, and I'm going to. I just don't know when. And I'm not totally sure. We're in such flux here again, just like the universe, just like the world right now. We're in such flux right now, but it's all good stuff. It's 100% good stuff. We're growing and we're doing things differently and what have you. But and that is on the books, Corey. I can promise you it is. Number one, we get enough requests for it, and two, there's other things I want to say, and I don't want to take up your guitar time doing it, but I also would like to let folks know about some things that have worked for me and maybe they'll work for you. Same thing here with Buddha Bunny. Like the doctor who figured out ulcers were caused by bacteria. Took 20 years for the world to believe him. Mm-hmm. And yes, and many more. Did you know that Charles Darwin did not write the whole evolution book? Did you know that? I just found that out the other day. It's an entirely different dude. But he hijacked it. If you are using the D chord and holding that shape up, the fretboard is the next half step. A D sharp, an E, an F, an F sharp. You are totally right, Mike. And this is the idea of bar chords, as we're talking about, except we're technically not barring it, right? We could bar it, but the barring is more the technique. Just understand that anything we do in the open position can move further up the neck, be that a scale, a form, a double stop, a chord, an arpeggio, doesn't matter. Move it up in all 12 keys. Yeah. Scriptic, thank you, my friend. Another donation. I'm a beginner, and I am always re-energized. Oh, did we just lose our thing?
No.
Are we still on? My monitor's gone. We just got struck by lightning here. My monitor's like, bzzz.
It is?
Yeah, it's just jacked right now. I can't see anything. I can see on this one, though. Yeah, there's a major thundercloud overhead. Oh, it's back. Thank you, Mike. Whatever you did there.
I just restarted.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm a beginner, and I've always re-energized. So you're going to hear the thunder, friends. Re-energized when I watch these live lessons. Beautiful. I appreciate all of your wisdom and inspirational messages. Thank you. Scriptic, thank you for telling me that, because it burns in my heart. I'm going to get emotional here. It burns in my heart to say things other than guitar, because there's a world out there right now that is hurting, and there's a world out there that's confused. But let me tell you that there's a happy ending to this story, and we are in a transitional phase right now, and I want to be part of the inspiration. I want to be part of the change. I want to be part of kindness and love and all of those things that we all are after right now. And so thank you. That helps me, because it makes me feel like I'm not a crazy person, to have that support, to know that you guys do get stuff from that. So thank you. And Chris Greer, thank you. Beautiful. So sweet. No, that really was confetti, Jim. We do have little confetti whee, that happens. But no, my monitor was like bzzz. It was a mess. Just realized the D chord is the same shape as the C, just up the scale, just the fretboard a whole step. Jim, you did. So the next thing you need to look into, Jim, if you're not in UGS already, I have a whole system on the caged system. I teach major chords, minor 7 chords, 7th chords, I think major 7th chords, I don't know, but I know 4 of those according to the caged system. I also teach you how to know where you're soloing and that sort of thing with that system. But I've got videos for that on YouTube. Search YourGuitarSage Caged. But indeed, that's the way it works. Each one of these chords is attached. You can see, if you go from a C to an A to a G to an E, and an E to a D, you will see the connection. When you go from a D to a C, is it right? A D to a C, that's connected too. Yeah, C, A, E, D, C. Is that right? Hold on here. C, I want to make this right here. Boom, boom, boom. Yes, it's true. They're all connected. They are all connected, okay? Oh, Dave is saying we're on the same frequency. Thank you for your positivity, Street Bright. Beautiful. I'm in pro. Good. Jim, yes, then you, Fran, are ready. Oh, Em, would you plug my laptop in? Again, my goofy cable there is it works, but it's got to be plugged all the way in. Thank you. We are all on the same frequency, Dave. We are. And, sorry, go ahead, take over. Okay, thank you. Yes, indeed, we are all on the same frequency. Amber said, yeah, as it's said in Wonderland, all the best people are crazy. Maybe that's because they are woke. And I say this all the time. I say, if I'm the sane person, I'm putting this in quotes because I'm saying what, the label of sane. If I'm the sane person and the entire world thinks I'm sane, that doesn't make me sane. And if the entire world says I'm crazy, or I'm saying any of us are crazy, that doesn't mean anything. There's been enough people who have been martyred, who have been killed, who they said were crazy. I mean, dear Lord, Gandhi, Jesus, Martin Luther King. I mean, just go right down the list of people who were peace bearers and kindness believers. A guy that, with the disease there and what have you. There's been a bunch of people like that. Oh, who was it? Was it Galileo or one of the guys that said the sun is in the center of our solar system? It's not the Earth. They burned that guy because, that's a terrible thing to say. What? Well, back in the day, it was thought of as being sacrilegious because, the Earth is supposed to be in the center of the solar system because God created it. Is that why? I don't know. I get confused. Okay, should I lower the action on my acoustic as I practice bar chords? Chris, my advice to you would be take it into a luthier, have them check it out. If the string height is too high, or if it's that's subjective, but if it's too high for what the standard is or what you desire, then I would have it lowered. But I wouldn't lower it just to play bar chords because then you're going to have buzzy strings and what have you when you're not doing that. Or you're going to make it easy to play bar chords, but you want to look at the guitar holistically. Holistically? You want to look at it as a whole, right? And so that's why we have standard tuning. A lot of people say, oh, Willie, it's Galileo. Thank you, beautiful. Sanity is a legal definition, not a psychological one. Beautiful. So this is why we tune the guitar to standard tuning and not oftentimes why we don't do like an open tuning. Open tunings are cool, but they're limited. Whereas standard tunings may be a little bit harder for one particular key, but for all keys, much easier, right? Yeah, cool. Should I cut my nails in a particular style to fingerpick? No. In fact, what I say about cutting your nails is like as I look at my hand like this, I see just a little bit of nail over the top. That's really all you need, okay? That's really all you need. So no, and it doesn't need to be shaped like a point or something like that. But there's plenty of videos on YouTube about how to do that. Are locking tuners better than regular? No, Corey, they are not. Here's the deal, and I have at least one guitar with locking tuners. I don't like them. They're cool for the quick on and off, like when you're changing strings. In my opinion, it's the only thing they're useful for. They were touted as being something that would keep your guitar in better tune. Realistically, that's not the thing that's keeping your guitar out of tune. So the answer is no. They're expensive and they don't really keep your guitar in tune. There's other variables that if those things aren't taken care of, your guitar will still be out of tune, locking tuners or otherwise. Also, if you don't have the locking tuners, but you have those other things taken care of, you won't have tuning issues. So it's not about the locking tuners. What a locking tuner is, my friend, is you take your string, you put it in there, you twist a little thing on the back, then you tune your guitar up. It makes changing strings quicker, but that's it. That's all it does. Now, if you're talking about the locking nut, like a Floyd Rose, that's a whole nother system. That's a whole nother can of worms, and you typically don't want to get into that unless you're playing like, 80s metal and that sort of thing, or, it's just probably not what you're looking for, okay? Okay, will there be any guitar lesson the last half hour? Paul, no, there's not, just questions, friend. So what I'm doing anymore with these lessons is I try to give you that lesson up front and then address questions. Let's say that again. I try to do the lesson up front and then address any questions that you might have after the lesson's done. So if you can't watch for 2 hours, I can deliver the lesson to you and boom, you're good there, okay? Wow, Greg Bowers, $100 donation. Unbelievable. Thank you, Greg. Wow, I use a local Wi-Fi company and haven't been able to donate. I just turned off my wireless and connected via AT&T and now I can. Huh. I've been with you over a month now and really appreciate you and your team. We're all crazy. Oh, I love that, Greg. Yay, we're all crazy together. Let them say we're crazy. That's okay. Beautiful. Greg, thank you so much for the donation. That helps so much, and your kindness is truly appreciated. And what a beautiful message. Thank you. Oh, I know where I was going with that crazy bit. Not guitar related, but nonetheless, I remember when I was going through my divorce, I remember seeing, here I was being separated from my wife, which that turned out to be a good thing, but in the moment you don't know it is when you're married, and you don't know that that's a good thing, that you maybe are going to be much better off being away from somebody. But during that time I was very much in love with my family and still love my kids so much, who's 23 now, my daughter. Anyhow, when you're going through that, your emotions change. And I remember seeing a homeless couple, a little red-headed homeless couple. They both had red hair, and were pushing a little bassinet, and they had a little kid in there. They were obviously homeless because they looked homeless, and I would see them all the time on this certain corner and what have you. And I was like, wow. I'm like, here you go. Someone would look at me wearing a tie, working in this place that I was working and what have you, and they would look and say, that guy's got it all together. And I was thinking, here, this family is all together. And my family was falling apart at the time. So things aren't as they seem all the time. And we really need to use our inner voice and grow. This is something that grows, by the way. We need to grow that inner voice so that we can see what actually is going on instead of what appears to be going on, okay? So important. Where I was going with that whole thing is, if I'm crazy and I'm happy and I'm not harming anything or anybody, and someone is deemed as crazy but they're happy, are they really? Like, I'd rather be that than be the person who is considered not crazy, the person who's considered sane and staying in the lines, and at the same time just completely unhappy. I'd rather be deemed the crazy person. Okay. Best way when changing strings is to get enough wraps. Last time I thought it felt like in left slack and only wrapped like 1.5 times. Yeah, yep. All right, sweet. Man, it's raining out there, isn't it? Woo. Any questions on those other platforms?
I do not have any.
Okay. Thrash metal. Dave Mustaine, yes. And Dave lives just right down the road here. Like literally, he lives in Franklin, Tennessee, which we're in Franklin, Tennessee. He lives just right down the road from me. Corey is saying, my brother told me that the Tusk nut is good. Your thoughts? I don't know if this is Tusk or not, but I have a Tusk. I have Tusk on a few of my guitars. And the new custom guitar that's being built, which, by the way, update, I know this has been a long time, but you know, pandemics and riots and such, lots of things going on in the world. I'm not blaming it on that, but dear Lord, there's been a lot of flux in the world. And then I changed the person who I was having create my guitar to build my guitar. I had one built, and it wasn't what I wanted. It was partially what I wanted, but not exactly. So I have a great custom built guitar that maybe I'll give away someday. But I have another guitar that's being built right now, and Saturday I'm meeting with him. So I'll update you again on what's going on with that, okay? But that being said, Tusk is super good. Back in the day they would use bone, and I think they still do, and maybe they even use tusk, which obviously, if you don't know, is illegal now. So don't poach any elephants. But tusk is the tooth of like a walrus or an elephant, and that stuff is very tough. It's bone essentially, and they resonate very well. But tusk, T-U-S-Q, is a synthetic. It's a composite material, and it's very, very, very good, and it sounds beautiful. Now, it's on my Faith guitar, yeah. Ooh, look at here. Subskip is saying, I put Tusk on my Squire, and it did make a big difference. Yeah, for sure. Oh, beautiful. Andre, I got the lifetime membership 2 years ago, never regretted it. Good, beautiful. And you're getting other folks. Camus here saying, very good nut. I have nothing but good things to say about it. A very obvious sound to me. It's very alive sounding. Like this guitar. I mean, this is not Tusk from my understanding, but it's a very present sound, and that's what Tusk sounds like. So, you could use bone, you could use plastic. Plastic's going to absorb more of that sound. You could use metal, like brass or something like that, and that's going to be very, very, very resonant, maybe too much, and it may be too bright for what it is that you're wanting, George, yeah, you'll get used to those nails growing out. But again, if I'm looking at my nails, they're not that long. You only need enough for it to be the very last thing that when you brush your finger against the string, the only thing you're getting is the nail. You're not tugging the string with your nail. You're not like getting underneath it and yanking up. It's just the last thing that touches. It's like a pick, right? It's like if you're hitting the string with your thumb, the flesh part of your thumb, right, then it's going to have one sound. It's kind of dark sounding. But if you do it with the nail part, it's going to be brighter sounding, like a pick would. Okay? Which, by the way, when you're tuning your guitar, if you use the darker sound, so like not with a pick, but if you use the side of your thumb, that darker sound your tuner will appreciate it. It will stay longer on that note. You won't have as many not enharmonics, but I forgot what they're called. But basically, you have a solid tone. You have like your subtone, what you're hearing here. But then there's also harmonics above that, many, many, many harmonics that you can't maybe perceive, but they're there, and that's what creates the timbre of an instrument. So if I hit an E on this guitar, or if I hit an E on this guitar, or if I hit an E on a piano or a violin and it sounds different, the reason it sounds different is because of the harmonics that are above that, okay? But you still have a primary, that's the word I was looking for, the primary tone. So when you kind of take out some of those harmonics, it's not as bright sounding. You use the side of your thumb or some fleshy part of your thumb, your finger, as opposed to the bright sounding, your tuner will stay where it should be and where you can move it, the tuners to be more accurate, okay? It's a little bonus there. Do we have any recommendations for switching out a Squier trem bridge? I want a better quality one and in black. Chemist, I don't know what the flavor of the month would be on that. Like if it was, you know, I don't know the flavor of the month. I imagine, Mike, what on that new guitar was it a mastery bridge, wasn't it? I'm guessing Mastery probably they probably have a Strat type tremolo system as well. They make them for like Jaguars and Jazz Masters, and you know the guys from Novo and guys like that will use them. That's what's going to be on my guitar. But I think they probably make one for Fender as well. And those are like the flavor of the month right now. People are loving those. They stay in tune really well. Yeah, Camus, overtones, but there's yet another name for it. But overtones, we could use that word. Yes, overtones, indeed. Thank you. Marine Mama, yeah, it's okay to use a pick. I mean, I do it sometimes too. It's just, I have found that when tuning strings, that darker sound, the tuner likes it better. Mike has used that. Yeah, good, nice. Yeah, beautiful. Okay, thank you. Yes, and we just posted the link for the gear store. Now, a lot of the stuff that we're going to be talking about tomorrow, friends, like with the chords moving up the fretboard, we need to know the individual notes. You have to know the individual notes, because otherwise you're just going to take a form and you're just going to be moving it up the fretboard, and you won't be able to identify, well, what's the key of that chord? What's its root? And if you don't have that, well, that's not going to help you too much, because if you're in a band situation, someone says, play a D minor 7, and you're like, well, I know a minor 7 form, but I couldn't tell you how to make it a D. Well, then you might as well not know the form either. So you got to have the whole formula, right? You got to know the names of the notes on the fretboard. That is yet another video that I'm giving to you today for free inside of UGS Standard. Unstoppable Guitar System Standard, friends. If you have been through this and it has absolutely changed the way that you think about guitar, but only if it's absolutely changed the way that you think about the guitar. Don't put anything if it doesn't. If it has, put the number 30 in the chat so folks know that what I'm saying is true here. This will absolutely build your foundation so that you understand, so that when we talk about stuff like bar chords and what have you, you're going to be like, oh, yeah, got that. Makes sense. Or I'm showing you a scale, boom, you'll be able to put it in any other key. If you've been through the 30 already and you're in UGS Pro, write that. Just say Go Pro, so folks know exactly what I'm talking about, that we're not joking around. We're very serious about you playing guitar, okay? Thank you, Lisa. I appreciate that. Corey is saying, I was told that a string butler is good for guitar. Oh, yay, Lord XS, Christopher, Rich, Doug, Mike, Maria. Beautiful. Love it. Lord XS is very excited about the 30. Thank you, buddy. Alan, Hal Allen, Amber, Sub, Andre. Okay, beautiful. Thank you. That means a lot to me because, you know, some folks are just joining us. It's not always the same crowd all the time. And a little encouragement for them to get those essentials so that when they're watching my videos or anybody else's videos, they'll have those essentials and it will empower them to do what it is they want to do, right? And there's a reason that there's only 30-something in there is because I took out everything that you don't need to learn for a little while. Okay, the stuff that you absolutely need to know at first, and none of the stuff you don't, right? This is something that I do in my life all the time. I'm constantly taking inventory of my time, my energy, money, resources, whatever. And I say, where am I leaking? Where am I leaking out energy? Where am I? And recently here, since I don't watch any TV, and since I rarely go on social media, those are two big time wasters, in my opinion, for me, not judging anybody. And watching TV is another one for me that I find is to be completely time waster for me. Not you, maybe, but for me it is. And what I found out that the recent thing that I haven't been keeping an eye on is my conversations. Because you can really, because when you're talking about something, you can really get involved. And so what I try to do is I go, can I affect change in this one thing? If so, let's talk about it. And if I can't, let's not talk about it. Let's talk about something I indeed can create change in, right? AA has that prayer that basically is like, essentially, someone will put it in the chat here in just a second, I'm sure, but it's basically, let me focus on the things that I can change. Let me not focus on the things that I can't change, or not be invested in the things that I cannot change, right? What a waste of time. If you can't change something, why are you putting your time there? You could be putting a lot more time into things that you could change. Major common sense, but still triggering to some people, I'm sure, right now. So there's that, right? And then the difference to know, or the ability to know the difference between the two. Is this something I'm actually changing? Is it something I'm not? That sort of thing, okay? How did I get off on that? I don't know why, but it was, I'm sure it was relevant to something somebody said. Oh yeah, string butler. I was told that the string butler is good for tuning. I'm joking, it was something else that somebody else said. The string butler, I have the string butler, they sent it to me, and they're like, please put this on your guitar, and I'm like, I'm not putting that on my tele, or on my Gibson. But I've heard that yes, it is good for tuning because it makes the strings straight, but I don't know for sure. If it's, I think they only have it for 3 and 3 instead of like Strat. I think it's made for Gibsons mainly. Well, there's some Gibsons that don't have that as well. They have some that have just 6 on one side. Amber, yay, 100%, she said. Yeah, the Serenity Prayer. Well, is it called the Serenity Prayer? Yeah. Grant me the strength to change what I can, the wisdom to do it. Yeah, okay, someone post the whole one. Can someone post the whole one on there? That'd be cool. Grant me the serenity or the strength to change what I can, and something that I can't, and the difference to know the two. Yeah, do that, because it's very, very, very powerful. It's very simple, but dear God, you live your life to that, boosh, man, boosh. Just powerful stuff, which is what boosh means. It means just power. Okay, good. Oh, we got a bunch of pros in here too. Love it, love it, love it. Oh man, that makes me happy that we got a lot of pro people in here as well. That means they're getting something out of this. Good. Oh, we got a newbie. Lisa, welcome to the fold. It's just not just the camera anymore. Indeed. Yay, Nona went pro. It was amazing. Beautiful. Love it, love it, love it. Okay. Yes, and Emmy just posted the link there for 30, so if you're not in there, for sure, get in there, friends. Oh, Tim, beautiful. He got a mug. Yeah, we do have some swag, friends. We've got some swag out there. We have not posted that already. We will. We've got some really cool swag that Mike has been creating. Shirts for the ladies, for the guys, mugs, stickers. Someone was asking about stickers the other day. They said, dear God, please, stickers. They use that voice. No, they didn't. They were texting to me. But for whatever reason, I create voices. And we got stickers now. We got stickers. Yep, Hal's got it right here. Learn 20%, get 80% more of the job done. Pareto's rule. The Serenity Prayer. Okay, beautiful. Whoa, Walter is doing a G chord with the full bar F. Good. Of course you are, Walter. That's why we're doing this. But I know, man, it's like we know, because why we're leaning into a particular direction. That's why we go to the gym. That's why we stop drinking one day, is because we really believe that we're going to. And we have all that ability is laying before us. It's just Got to take it one day at a time, just as it says. So like we know in the back of our minds that we do have the ability to do a particular something, but still there's part of us that still doesn't believe. It's in our body, right? And then our mind and our heart starts going, yeah, but I hope that I can change. And listen to that voice. Some call it the still small voice. It's where all the power is. It's in the still small voice. Of course, it's not in the shouting voice. That'd be too obvious. It's in the still small voice. Indeed, it's not religious based. It's just truth. Look, if truth finds its way into religion, so what? It's truth. Like, don't diss it because it's truth, you know. And if it's part of your religion, then great. Yeah. Be always in humble learning mode. I agree. We're going to go about another 5 minutes. This is turning into Bible camp, Paul's saying. Oh, I hadn't even gotten started with the Bible. No, there's good stuff in lots of stuff out there, and there's lots of good stuff in the Bible. Lots of good stuff in lots of books, indeed. But here's what's for sure, Paul. There's no being that at the end of the day doesn't desire growth and doesn't desire love and kindness and everything else. If we can keep it to that, we can all agree on that, and we can move forward in that. We've got to be growing. We're not happy unless we're growing. Did you know that? It's for real. Yeah. Oh, has anyone tried those stickers to go on the fretboard with note names? They put that on my Instagram the other day too, Greg. I thought it was so funny. The guy's like pulling a tweezer through with the notes. And here's why I think that's goofy. It's not goofy. It's just, it is what it is. It's subjective. It's just, but here's the deal. It's like every time you do that, you're cheating. And what I mean by that is, if you go through the video that I give you for free in UGS Standard, and you go through that one time, the way that I show you, you don't need stickers. You'll never guess what's the note, and you will know what the note is. Especially if you're using my springboards, you'll be able to do it even quicker. So go through that video that's in UGS Standard, the one that's free for you today, second link below. It's like 30-something lessons. Go through that one. And then, if you're in UGS, just search springboards. Or if you're on YouTube, search YourGuitarSage springboards. And I will show you another trick to show you how to immediately know, boom, what's this note? It's a C, because I'm using my springboard. I don't know that particular note off the top of my head, but I do know that this is a C because I'm using this as association, because I know this is an A, because when I tune my guitar to an A, I'm using the 5th string or the G, and if I can figure that out really quickly, which you might say, oh wow, that's amazing. You do this all day long with different things when you're driving or you're whatever. I mean, if you had any idea how many mathematical calculations your brain was doing just to walk from here to there when you get up to pee at night, so many calculations that it's just now, 2020, that people are creating robots that can kind of do this. Okay, they can flip, they can walk and stuff like that. They're just now getting to do this. Yeah, like 2-3 years ago, they started doing this. That's a long time, right? Your brain is uncanny, number one. So if I say, what note is this? What I'm going to do is, I don't have that note memorized, no more than Steve Vai or anybody else. We use association. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, well, I'm going to use my springboard to know that's a C, and I know that's a C because this is an A, and just right off the bat I know A, B, C. I know this is an A because that's a G from a G chord, and I'm doing all that in my head very, very quickly, which you can too. It's just a matter of the more you do it, the quicker you're going to get at it. That's the only difference, okay? Love's in Need of Love Today. Great song from Stevie Wonder, and I love that. Live Alive. Thank you for the donation. Live Alive 42. So kind. Yeah, merch idea. Mugs and t-shirts saying I survived the 30-day guitar challenge. Yeah, and you know something? We should do that again. Why wait for, us to be locked down to do that? I think we should. All right. Alrighty. Okay, Miss, at what point would you consider someone an intermediate player? I did answer that one earlier. It's subjective. Don't worry about that. Camus, worry about you today, how you can make yourself a better player. That's how you'll get to pro in no time. But it's a process. It's a continuum. So focusing on what's in the future disempowers you. I'll say it again because I know that that's a big pill to swallow for a lot of people. Focusing on the future will keep you further from the future. It's good to have goals and to say, okay, I'm going to do this, but then you can't do anything in the future. You can only do what's now. So if you're getting in the car and you want to take a trip around the US, it's not about the destination, right? Life is not about the destination, because the destination's death. By the way, spoiler alert, that's the end, okay? Or whatever happens after that. I'm convinced that there's something that probably happens after that, but don't be just looking at the end always. Be in the moment, friends, and practice your guitar. Have fun with it, enjoy it. Otherwise, it's always gonna be sucktown for you because you're never there, because this is always moving ahead of you. So don't worry about, and you define yourself as an intermediate, someone's gonna say you're a beginner and the other guy's gonna say you're advanced. So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Focus on what you can change today, and we can change a lot today, okay? Friends, thank you so much for all the donations. Super, super, super kind, super sweet. Keep up. Love, all that good stuff. If you haven't already, get into UGS Standard. It's free for you. Second link below, and it's going to help with what it is that we're talking about tomorrow as well. Download the PDF. I think that's the very first link in this video. We will put it in the chat here again for you, but you want to get that before tomorrow, because, and the other thing I want you to do is I want you to practice that F chord the way I said it. 2 strings, 3 strings, 4 strings, 5 strings. Take your time. Don't go to 4 strings until you have 3 strings down pat. And don't do 3 until you have 2 down pat. Okay? Don't be tempted to just rush into it. It's an awesome way to fail. Don't fail. You rock. Don't fail. 2, 3, 4, 5 strings, and then we're moving on, okay? And then tomorrow what we're gonna do is we're gonna take that one form and we're gonna extrapolate 120 chords out of that. And guess what? Not only will you be able to play them, you will have them memorized in all the keys. Yeah, all the keys. You're gonna know where you're at on the fretboard. You're gonna know, this is a C sharp minor 7 chord. Boom. Trust me, I'm gonna bring you there, okay? Let's do this. Love you guys. Thank you so much for everything. I love the new earth. Yes, indeed. Eckhart Tolle. Beautiful. You guys rock. I'll see you tomorrow, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Yeah, see you then.